Hey, this is James from My Take on Reality. What's going on, guys? I'm back. I've been having some technical difficulties with my equipment, but I'm going to drop this audio-only version of my videos. I'll be back on your screen as soon as I get things straightened out, but I wanted to drop this because it's been kind of beating on my heart, and I've been wanting to do this for a little while now. The big talk. As parents start to engage in the big talk and think about having the big talk, you know the one I'm talking about, the birds and the bees, the flowers and the trees, fishes in the oceans and the seas and all that. We have a reference point from early on in the Sister Wives series from episode, I forget the episode, but it was season 3 as well as in season 6 where Robin does the big talk. As parents, this is the conversation that I think is scary as hell. Like, this is the conversation that we all dread having with our kids because we're afraid of so many things. There are probably grown men who would rather put on pork chop draws and play with pit bulls than have a conversation with their daughters or their sons about front hugs. As we watched the Sister Wives and they were waiting for the kids to go out on a group date and they wanted to sit down and have a conversation about it, to me, that's too late. If you're having this conversation with your kids when they're about to go on a date and send them on the way and say Godspeed, by the time a parent is ready to have this conversation, your child has been talking about it probably for about 4 or 5 years already, at least. Your child has been introduced to these ideas by the other kids that they hang out with and the other people that they talk to, as well as the movies, music, and TV shows that they consume on a daily basis. Even now, we've moved past the position or a time where the only time you could get adult materials is if you put on a trench coat and a fedora and went into a back store and then got the brown bag special and came on out. This is a time now where kids can have access to tremendous amounts of information, tremendous amounts of media input and so on and so forth, where they can get all kinds of craziness in the comfort of their own home. So we as parents have to be prepared and rise to the level of this challenge and become the thing that's necessary in order for us to engage with our children. Have these conversations a little bit at a time. Don't have it as a big talk and I'm going to tell you 1-4 and you're going to listen because I know what I'm talking about and you're an idiot. Have these conversations a little bit at a time. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is the things that you want to instill in your children and the things that you would hopefully help to guide their decisions as they're navigating their way through these social obstacles is simply this. You want them to have a foundational understanding, first and foremost, that they have full bodily autonomy. They get to decide what happens to their body, when it happens, and with whom. They have the decision. That is critical. If you as a parent are trying to dictate what your child does with their body, when they do it, how they do it, who they do it with, so on and so forth, the only thing you're doing is you're setting an example or providing for an environment in which your decision will be replaced or substituted by somebody else. You're creating an environment that's rich for them to be taken advantage of because they don't have control over their body. They don't get to decide. And you say, well, I get to decide. The problem you have, parent, is that you won't be with your child when they're making these decisions. And because they don't feel like they can make the decisions for themselves, they'll look to and rely on somebody else to make those decisions. And I guarantee you that that young man and that young lady are not going to have your child's best interest at heart. So you want to give them the power and the understanding that they get to decide. I know for fathers it's hard. I'm a dad. I get it. I'm a girl dad and I got a boy too. I got a son as well. And I understand it is hard to let go and let them make these decisions. But you have to. The second thing, you want to give them the self-esteem to understand that they have value. Know what their worth is. Know that they don't have to do this thing or do that thing in order to rise to somebody else's expectations of what they think that they should be or how they should conduct themselves. You want them to feel as though they are valuable. They can take it. They can leave it. They don't need anybody. If anything happens, it's by their decision, their design, and it's something that they want to do. It's not something they have to do in order to be liked or loved or whatever the case may be. The third thing, We want to be able to give them choices, the power of choice. You want to be able to let them know that they don't have to choose to do anything that they don't feel comfortable doing. You decide what you want to do, how you want to do it, and when you want to do it, when you're comfortable in doing it. And you constantly talk about it. You try to give them this information. Now, I hear that there's a lot of talk, a lot of times, especially from the father crowd. I'm one of them, and I've probably said some wild things. I know I have. When I was talking to my daughter, there was a song from Django and called "Who Did That to You?" And I would change all the words around and I would make it sound like the father. Somebody hurt you and I'm going to come get them. You need to call a priest, call a doctor, call a lawyer, call everybody because I'm about to put this fool in the ground and all that kind of craziness. And I would joke around about it. She knew I was joking. But at the end of the day, that's how fathers and parents have taken a position, especially with their daughters. We've taken a position that if anything happens to them, I ain't afraid of prison. I ain't afraid to go to jail. I ain't afraid to hurt somebody. I'm willing to kill or die for my child. And that's one of the things that we always put out as parents, that I'll be willing to sacrifice everything. Well, here's the thing, especially as we watch Sister Wives and a lot of these reality shows, one of the things that's always struck me is that your child doesn't need for you to bring harm to yourself or bring harm to somebody else. Your child doesn't need for you to spend the rest of your life in jail or spend the eternity in the ground. What your child needs is for you to be willing to sacrifice not your life or somebody else's, but sacrifice your time. Give them your time. Sit there and have conversations with them, joke with them, find out their thoughts, their opinions, their views on not just sex, but life in general. And by you doing that and creating that bond with your child, you create an environment where you can counsel them and give them advice. Because at the end of the day, having fantastic, great advice is useless if the person you're talking to doesn't take it. If they don't believe you, if you don't have the type of relationships where you are a reliable source of information, then they won't listen to your advice. So it doesn't matter how much you threaten them, tell them, told them, whatever you do to them, because at the end of the day, they are not listening to you. So you want to create an environment where you're being honest with your kids. I've always said to my children, when I die, I don't care if you get up and say I'm a nice guy, nasty dude, whatever you want to say about me. But the one thing that you're never going to be able to say about me is that I was dishonest with you and I wasn't straight up with you. I tell my kids the truth about everything. Sometimes brutally honest but I tell them the truth. Why do I tell them the truth? Because at the end of the day, when I say something to them, I want them to know that I'm being honest with them and I'm telling them the truth. So I don't give them half-truths, full lies, or not talk about things. If you have something to say, damn, say it. Stand up straight, say it with your chest. Why do you do this? I do this for one very good reason. If I'm not talking to my kids about this information, whether it's sex, drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, then I can almost guarantee that somebody else will. All they have to do is give them a little bit of truth. I'm creating the perfect environment where my child can be taken advantage of. See, when you lie to your kids by telling them that, oh, sex is bad, it's horrible, you don't want nothing to do with that, it's just terrible, it's going to hurt, oh my God, it's terrible. Nobody wants to do this. Or you give them half-truths. Yeah, it's okay, but it's only okay when you're married or in a long-term relationship and you're over 40. You give them you don't talk to them at all. The only thing that has to happen is the person who wants to take advantage of them only has to give them a little bit of truth. And they can shape their whole discussion and their whole opinion on it. And they can take advantage of them. For instance, you tell your kids, doing this and having this type of feeling is wrong, is against God, it's against nature. The only time you should want to do it is when you get married and you find the person that you're in love with. And if you do it any other time than that, then you're wrong, you're nasty, you're dirty, you're disgusting, and you're bad. The person who talks to them and wants to take advantage of them, whether it's the hot boy or the F-boy, the hot girl, summer girl, or whatever you want to call it, 304, all they have to do is say, how do you feel? When you look upon my body, do you feel a certain way? When I look at you, I feel a certain way. You have a certain urge and a certain desire. How could that be bad? If God didn't want you to feel this way, why would he make it feel so good? Why would you feel so much happiness and so much delight? Why would you have such desires if it was such an unnatural thing? It's completely natural. And then from that point on, all they have to do is just give them a little bit of truth. And because they seem to be the honest arbiter in that situation, they become the trusted counselor in that situation. And the people that they're going to trust are not the people who are looking out for their best interests. I always told my kids that when rubber meets the road, not only will I be honest with you, but I guarantee you that I don't want anything from you. When I give you information, I give you advice. When I talk to you, I give you counsel. The benefit of my counsel, the benefit of my years, my wisdom, my knowledge. When I give you that, I'm doing it with your best interest in mind, period. I don't want anything from you. The people who you're going to deal with, especially in the sexual marketplace, they cannot say that. They may care for them, and I'm not saying that they're never going to be loved or none of that other stuff, and people aren't going to put them forward. But a majority of the people that they're going to deal with and encounter are going to be people who want things from them and are going to demand things from them, and the things that they want are oftentimes in the best interest of the person who's talking to them. Now, I'm going to cut it short here. Let me know what you guys think down below. Would you guys be interested in a stream where I talk about these type of subjects and these matters in further detail? I have a whole thing I wanted to talk about with regard to the young ladies as well as for the young men. Let me know if you guys are interested in that kind of thing. This has been my take. I'm James. This has been my take on reality, and I'm out. 'Cause